This is the rarest Ferrari I have ever driven. Now, most of you are looking at this car and going, Kenan, it's a yellow California T. They made a gazillion of those. You can rent one in Ontario, you can buy one relatively affordably, at least by Ferrari standards. Why is this thing so special? Well, this is a 70th anniversary edition car, and it is the only one like it in the entire world. And in today's video, we're going to be contextualizing this car, talking about all of its special details. We'll talk about why this specific one is so nice, and then we'll take this thing for a drive. Before I get going, big news, really big news. This Ferrari California T is currently for sale on Cars and Bids, and I am the one who is representing it. That's right, if you ask a question, I am the one who is answering everything. It belongs to a friend of mine and it is really special. It has just 1,500 miles, Classiche Certification, all of its peripherals. It's the one you want. So after you finish watching this video, click the link in the description below where you can head to the live auction of this one, where you can bid on it and buy it and give it a new home through Cars and Bids. Okay, let's talk California T. Now, I have always really liked these cars. I've actually always liked the California line in general. When I was a kid, it was the first new Ferrari that I remember. I even have pictures of myself as a little kid with my Ferrari shirt on, sitting in a brand new one at the dealer and thinking it was the coolest thing, but it offered something really unique. A front engine V8, it offered a dual clutch transmission, a folding hardtop. It was a brave new world for Ferrari. Now, the first gen Californias aren't particularly well regarded, which I think is a massive mistake. In my opinion, go drive one, it will change your mind. However, the car was very commercially successful for Ferrari, but they needed to iterate on it and make it even more performance focused. A lot of people complain that the first gen Californias weren't aggressive enough. They weren't real Ferraris. Well, that all changed in 2014 when Ferrari launched the California T. The T letter in this car's name is the most important part because this is the first turbocharged Ferrari since the F40. Under its hood lies a twin turbocharged 3.9 liter V8 that produces 553 horsepower and 557 pound-feet of torque. Now that's a 100 horsepower jump over the normal California, and that's almost 200 pound-feet of torque more than the old car. So this car certainly had an engine to deliver that Ferrari power. But the changes are much more than that. The styling of this car is much different compared to the earlier cars. It's a completely different period of Ferrari history. This car was styled to look more like the F12 and to fit into the new lineage at Ferrari during that time. In addition to the exterior though, the interior also got a lot of revisions to make it feel more modern, and to be honest, this car still feels like a brand new Ferrari. At least this one has buttons, which cannot be said for all models of Ferrari, at least not currently. But my favorite stylistic change they made to this car unquestionably has to do with the rear end. The weird stacked exhaust found on the first generation California is gone, and it's rotated 90 degrees back to being horizontal, which looks just so right. And I think the rear treatment of this car just looks so much more Ferrari. Ferrari would produce this car from 2014 until 2017. They would produce approximately 7,900 examples of this thing, making them incredibly popular, and it's easy to see why. This car was much sharper, much more powerful than its predecessor, but it still offered the practicality of a convertible hardtop, a great dual clutch transmission, and a seriously potent V8 engine. Now, 2017 marked a very special milestone for Ferrari, as it had been 70 years since the company was founded in 1947, and they wanted to do something special. They wanted to produce a limited edition set of cars that paid homage to 70 different famous liveries from Ferraris of the past. Now, when I say a complete set, what I mean is for each of the 70 liveries, they wanted to offer it on one model of each model in their production range. So that's one GTC Forluso, F12 Baronetta, 488 GTB, 488 Spider, and this, the California T. Now, for those of you decent at math, that means that there are 350 70th anniversary edition cars for the entire world, making it only one car more common than the Ferrari F50. But each of them is a one-of-one example. And this isn't some blasé thing that a Corvette owner makes up that in May of 2017, they only produced one in this spec. Nope. They made one of each example for the entire world. And it's even commemorated in this car on a plaque. Those of you who know your Ferraris know that Ferrari kind of plays fast and loose a little bit with production numbers, but on these cars, they actually say one of one, and they tell you exactly which car this particular spec pays homage to. This particular car was built to pay homage to the 1967 Dino 206S Competizione chassis number 034, which was later renumbered 10523. That car is owned by Jim Glickenhaus, and it is one of the most iconic race cars of the late 1960s. Finished in yellow with a black interior and blue carpets, it is positively gorgeous and sums up that late 1960s insanity. This particular car is finished in Giallo Triplo Strada, which was made famous by the F12 TDF as its press color, and it is a beautiful shade. It's a 3-layer paint that has tons of metallic flake in it, and it just goes wah whenever you put light on it. It's one of my favorite shades of yellow. Now, I have learned that there are 5 internal shades of this car that Ferrari doesn't really advertise, and this particular shade was picked for this exact car, making it something very unique. In addition to its paint color though, the wheels are also finished in this satin dark gray, which I think looks fantastic. A lot of these cars have black wheels, which I don't particularly like, and some have silver, which looks great too, but this shade looks really nice and works very well in contrast with the yellow paint. So that's the exterior, but let's hop inside and talk about some of the special touches that Ferrari picked for this specific car. Inside the California T. Now, I've chosen this specific camera angle that's a little bit awkward so you can see one of the most notable features in this car, and that is its blue Alcantara carpeting. And it is everywhere. On the sides of this car, along the transmission tunnel, behind the pedals, the carpets in the front, the carpets in the back, this blue Alcantara is everywhere. If you know your vintage competition Ferraris, you know that blue is relatively common. The 250 GTO, for instance, had blue seats. So Ferrari likes this color. I'm not exactly sure what the origins on that are, but it actually makes a lot of sense in here, and I think it looks particularly nice. Almost cooler than that, though, are the seats that are in this car. I've been told these are referred to as the heritage seats, and if you compare them to the ones found in the 206S, they look very similar. The blue doesn't end there, though. It's also found on the seat belts just to kind of bring up that color a little bit and tie it into the rest of the interior, and I think that looks particularly nice. Another thing I noticed in this car is there's no carbon fiber anywhere. And that's because you wouldn't have found that in the 206S, so you don't find it here. Instead, you have this satin silver trim, which just adorns the car in a couple of different places, around the instrument binnacle, the paddles, and the steering wheel, and then a little bit here on the center console as well, tying it again in to the 206. Ferrari actually did, I feel, a really nice job paying homage to the 206. It's not overdone, and it just is representative of what that car looked like. Now, I have with me here the original window sticker, and this highlights a couple of interesting things. It really only calls out 6 options. However, a lot of them fall under the Tailor Made 70th Anniversary P1-A package, which costs $42,522.57, and special features, which cost a whopping $66,899, bringing this car total to $340,462.57. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $450,000 for a California T. Now, the window sticker doesn't really give us that much detail, but there is something that answers a lot of questions about this car's specification, and it's found in the trunk. And here it is, the Options Plaque. Starting in about mid-2016, Ferrari would begin putting these plaques on the trunk of their cars to explain exactly what options their cars had. But this one is particularly unique because it's a 70th anniversary car. It has a 70th anniversary badge on it, and of course it was made by the Tailor Made department at Ferrari. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with your Ferraris, Tailor Made is like the Sonderwunsch or Special Wishes department of Ferrari. They option all of the unique cars and work with their clients to build something that maybe isn't offered through the standard Ferrari program, and you have to be chosen to take part in this. It's very exclusive. But because Ferrari optioned all of these cars themselves, they still did it through the Tailor Made program. So all of these cars classify as Tailor Made cars. In addition to saying Tailor Made on the plaque, I also love that it has option TAIL specifically for Tailor Made. I'd never noticed that before, but that's the official option code for Ferrari, and well, that's an expensive one when you see it on a build sheet. In addition to everything I've mentioned so far, this calls out truly every single option, like the black exhaust tips and black diffuser, and it calls out stuff like the carbon fiber center caps and Apple CarPlay as well. But I love how specific this is. It calls out exactly how wide the stripes are supposed to be on the seats and the type of leather that was used in different parts of the car. These plaques really give you a lot of detail that you don't find on a build sheet, and I'm really glad that Ferrari offers them. And that is the spec on this particular car, but let's dig into some of the additional cool peripherals that come with this thing. Naturally, it's got its charger and its cover and stuff like that, but it also also comes with some very cool stuff specific to the 70th anniversary cars. It comes with this black pamphlet, which says 1947 on the front. When you open it, then it says 2017, and this goes over a couple of really cool different pieces about the car. It shows obviously this particular car, so you get to see your exact car, both the exterior and the interior. It also comes with a page talking about the car upon which this one was based. This project was nicknamed Bold Yellow, which certainly fits the Dino 206 Competizione. The last sheet that comes in here is red, of course, and it says 1947 to 2017 Sette Anni Tailor Made Collection. And the text at the bottom reads, a series of unique cars created to commemorate 70 years of glorious Ferrari history, inspired by the most iconic, innovative, winning, beautiful, and unforgettable Ferraris of the past and present. I love stuff like this because you can't just go out and buy it. It's specific to this exact car. And it's great that my friend has kept it with this car, will likely stay with this car for the rest of its life. And well, I just love special touches like that. But the 70th anniversary stuff isn't the only special thing that this car has. It also has this special book. And if you know your Ferraris, you know exactly what this is. Normally this is referred to as the red book, but in this particular case, it happens to be gray. And this is this car's Classiche Certification. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Classiche program is a certification program offered by Ferrari to ensure that your car is as it left the factory. Going through this program is arduous, expensive, and thorough. Ferrari will often disassemble parts of the car to ensure that it is still original, and they offer this program even on newer models, which this California had done. This isn't something that is just printed out by Ferrari. A Classiche certified technician has to go over the entire car, and in this book they provide pictures of all sorts of things underneath, stamping on transmissions, lots of different components, so that you always have a reference point of what this car looked like when it was original and when it was certified. Admittedly, on older cars this is much harder to do as they've simply been around longer, and well, Lord only knows who is fiddling around in there. But to have this with the car is a huge piece of provenance, and well, given how complete this car is with everything that it has, the fact that it has Classiche certification on top, that's pretty special too. But with all of those details and all of that context covered, it's time to go do the most important thing you can do with any Ferrari, and that's take it for a drive. Let's go. Oh. Nothing like the sound of a V8 Ferrari. Now, the California line always gets overlooked, and I think that's really unfortunate because these are real Ferraris. A lot of people leveled at the first-gen California that it always should have been a Maserati, that it wasn't a true Ferrari, which I think is BS. Drive one of those cars, it feels like a real Ferrari. But this thing takes it up to the next level. 100 more horsepower, 200 more pound-feet of torque. I mean, that's a pretty big jump. And it's clear that Ferrari wanted to put a little more oomph into this car. Now, this car also has the handling package, the GTC handling package, which makes a big difference. Unfortunately, I don't really have very many twisty roads to drive this car on, so I can't say for sure. What I can tell you is that man, it's fast. You can hear it struggling to put power down there a little bit. It's very funny. But no, this car is still very quick. The whole point of this car was that it's supposed to be a usable Ferrari that you could just enjoy. And it's certainly that. This car is very enjoyable to drive. It's comfortable. You have the practicality of being able to put the hardtop down in an instant. I mean, you could drive this car every single day. And then with the Tailor Made program, to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Ferrari, I think it's so cool that they did that big nod back to the past of all the really cool different specifications that existed, the different liveries from their past. Woo! Yeah, this is a real Ferrari, there's no question about that. You can't just... Gosh, the way it delivers power is so much more savage than you might expect. This thing just rips. It really rips. I have to be careful. There's a line of about 15 cops going that direction. Not sure why, but I don't need to meet any of them. But back to the 70th anniversary stuff. A lot of people say, oh, it's just some, contrived, kind of lackluster thing to make a car special. The thing you have to remember is that Ferrari built a ton of these cars, and they're all largely the same. But these cars to have been built by Ferrari themselves as special edition cars, that is really unique. That is really crazy. The owner of this car, my buddy, was telling me that when he was visiting Ferrari, they're actually able to pull his specific build from the archive and show him stuff on this car, which I think is really neat. And these cars are reflected in the market as being something special. They are worth almost 2.5 times what a normal one is worth. And they don't come up very often because, again, there are only 70 California Ts that were part of that program. So to find one of these, if you're looking for one, I mean, good luck. They just never come up for sale, and never do any of the other 70th anniversary models either. So when one of these comes up for sale, especially if you're missing one, if somebody out there has the other 4 and does not have this one. So if you're looking to complete those collections, you know, this is it. This is your opportunity to do so. Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah, I think Ferrari killed it with the way this car looks, and the updates they made to the way it drives, I think, are fantastic. I mean, it feels hardcore. Oh. And you know, despite having a dual clutch transmission, you would think that it would be really refined. And I mean, it's not that it isn't, but it's surprisingly savage between shifts. I'm sure if I toned it down to comfort, it wouldn't be, but you know, who wants to do that? Wow, the way it climbs in speed is insane. You know, with Ferrari engines, you're not actually used to that much torque unless you have one of the 12-cylinder cars. But because this car is turbocharged, it just has a thump to it. And it is wild to think that, historically speaking, the turbocharged car that precedes this is the F40. This car marked a point for Ferrari where they were really changing. They were offering turbocharged cars. Everything was offered with a dual clutch. You know, this is in that inflection point where we get to the modern era. But I have to say, compared to like some of the hybrid stuff, like this has a level of savagery to it that I really enjoy. And everything about it is as precise as you would expect. The steering is pinpoint accurate. The handling is fantastic. The transmission's wonderful. The brakes, being carbon ceramics, just bite instantly. I mean, you know, come on. There's a modern Ferrari in every sense of it. That's impressive. That's really impressive. But again, the person who's going to buy this one doesn't want just a California T. What they really want is a collectible modern Ferrari. And when you consider how many examples are made of modern, really special Ferraris these days, rare isn't what it used to be. But this car, being one of one, a true one-of-one car, it's pretty special. It is not just merely a color combination. There's more to it than that. If you're really into Ferraris, you know what this is and you understand why it's unique and interesting. And for those of you who aren't as familiar with this, I hope this video helps explain it a little bit about why these cars are desirable and why the market values them so highly. Yes, the California T on its own, for less than 2 times the price of this car, is an excellent car, a great first Ferrari. I'd recommend that to a lot of people. But if you're looking for something modern that's collectible, that you could still go out and use, this is a pretty compelling package. It is every ounce a real Ferrari. And that is the Ferrari California T 70th Anniversary Edition. This car is so special. Yes, it's because of the options that it has, but it is the only one like it in the entire world. And if you're a collector of modern Ferraris, you know how rarely these 70th anniversary cars come up for sale. And you can buy this one on Cars and Bids. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon, either here or through the auction. Ciao.